totally forgot about that. Oh, it fell. Why does the light keep changing? Stay. Gotta hurry, my battery's dying. Can't I say that? Well, that's gonna be a pain in the butt to edit. Hey fellow fiction fanatics, I'm Chase. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am super excited because I'm going to be doing the 4th round of Dice Determines My TBR. And this round will be determining my summer TBR. I'm also excited because the next round, round 5, will actually be my 1-year anniversary of me playing Dice Determines My TBR. Because it will be the 1-year anniversary, I have a few surprises in store and some new rules. So very much looking forward to sharing all that with you in September, which is actually my birthday month. So that's all very exciting. I will also be participating in Whatever-a-thon this month, which is a readathon created by Maddie over at Book Browsing Blog. So I'll link her announcement video down below. I'm just gonna see how my TBR plays out, and hopefully I'll be able to get as many prompts in there for Whatever-a-thon as I can. And I will be joining the Comrades of Chaos team for Whatever-a-thon. So I'm gonna start off by letting you know the rules. Then I'm going to go over the books that I was able to read to complete my spring TBR, and then we'll actually go into the game. I'll also leave some timestamps down below in case you want to jump ahead. Alright, so let's get into it. So the way Dice Determines My TBR works is I roll some dice to determine which column and row I will be picking from, and where those two intersect is the prompt I will be choosing. I choose 12 prompts, and then I have 3 months to complete them. For any prompts that I don't complete, those roll over into the next round, and if I ever land on the same space twice, then I use a 8-sided die to determine which adjacent space I will be choosing from. So that's pretty much it for the rules. Let's get into the books I was able to read for my spring TBR. To read a book with an alliteration, I read The Goose Girl by Shannon Hale. To read a book featuring a female protagonist, I read Cinder by Marissa Meyer. We played Flip a Card, which gave me a card featuring a spade, and spade represents sci-fi, so I continued on with the Lunar Chronicles and read Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. For Bookish Tunes, which is a book that reminds me of a song in some way, I read The Way You Make Me Feel by Maureen Gu. For debut novel, I read Slay by Brittany Morris. For my challenge to read an ebook, I read Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. To read a middle grade, I read The Tower of Nero, which is the 5th and final book in the Trials of Apollo series by Rick Riordan. For author pronunciation, I read Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. To read a book with an animal on the cover, I read Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston. To read a book that my husband chooses for my TBR, I read Skullduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy. To read a book featuring a time warp, I read Yesterday is History by Kasoko Jackson. And finally, to read a book starting with the letter J, I read Just Ella by Margaret Peterson Haddock. So those are all the books I was able to read for my spring TBR. Alright, let's get into the game. I also wanted to point out that I am filming with a new camera for my dice rolls, so bear with me while I figure that out. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is determine which dice will choose my columns. If it is a odd, it'll be the purple. And if it's an even, it's going to be the blue. Alright, here we go. That is a 3. So, looks like purples are going to be our columns. Roll number 1. That is a 6 and a 3. 6, 3. And that is 5 plus words. For roll number 1, we got 5 plus words. So I'm going to be choosing The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I know this book features magical children, LGBTQ representation, and it also reminds me of the pansexual flag. All those things are great, and I'm very excited to read this. I've heard nothing but good things about this book, so I'm sure I'm gonna love it, and I'm very excited that I have it on my TBR. Roll number 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. And that is Bookish Main Character. For roll number 2, we got Bookish Main Character. So for that, I'm picking The Bookshop on the Corner by Jenny Colgan. I don't know too much about this, but it's definitely gonna have a bookish main character, so I'm excited to read it. Roll number 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. And that is Initials in Title. For roll number 3, we got initials in title. So I'm going to try to find a book that has at least 2 of my initials within the title. So for the initials, it has to have a C, an M, an S, or a B. And so I'm picking Palace of Mirrors, which has both a C and an M. And this is the second book in the Palace Chronicles, the first book being Just Ella. I really liked the first one, and I'm looking forward to reading the next book in this trilogy. Roll number 4. 6, 1. 6, 1. And that is Buddy Read. For our 4th roll, we landed on Buddy Read. So I will be continuing to buddy read The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer with my sister. And that means we are on Cress, which is the 3rd book and just so happens to be my favorite book of the series. So very much looking forward to this and seeing how my sister likes it. Roll number 5. 1, 5. 1, 5. And that is Gifted. So I'm going to be picking Before the Dawn by E.C. Myers. This is the 2nd book in the Ruby series, and I know it's going to feature Team Sun, which I'm very much looking forward to. And this definitely has the team color of pink for the Comrades of Chaos team, and I also hauled this in the past year. I'm also giving this book my 5-star prediction. So all those prompts apply, so very much hoping I can get to this month. Roll number 6. 5, 4. 5, 4. And that is Seasonal Read. Roll number 6 landed us on Seasonal Read. So for that, I'm picking The Summer of Everything by Julian Winters. I know this has LGBTQ plus representation. It's very summery, so I'm looking forward to reading this as well. Roll number 7. 2, 6. 2, 6. And that is No Hype. For roll number 7, we got No Hype, so a book that I haven't heard anyone talk about. And so I'm going to pick Ash by Melinda Lowe. I know that this is a debut novel. This is a dark LGBT women love women version of Cinderella. So that all sounds fabulous, and I cannot wait to read this one. And on top of all that, it has black, gray, white, and purple. So it reminds me of the asexual flag. Roll number 8. 2, 1. 2, 1. And that is 4-word title. Roll number 8 landed me on 4-word title. So I will be reading Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. I know the story is about an African-American girl who is babysitting a little white girl. And one day at the supermarket, she is accused of kidnapping the child. That's all I really know about the book. So I want to see how this book turns out. And this also works for Whatever-a-thon because it has POC representation. Roll number 9. 5, 5. 5, 5. And that is Reread. Roll number 9 landed us on Reread, which is perfect because I want to continue to reread the books of Bayern. So I will be reading Enna Burning by Shannon Hale, and this is also a prompt for Whatever-a-thon, so this works out perfectly. Roll number 10. 5, 6. 5, 6. And that is Universe Chooses My TBR. And roll number 10 landed us on Universe Chooses My TBR, which is when I go to the library and complete a series of questions that will lead me to the book that the universe chooses for me. These questions were originally done by Books and Lala in her bookish scavenger hunt. So once I've done that, I'll come back and tell you what I've done. Alright, so I just got back from the library and I did The Universe Chooses My TBR, which is where I go through a series of steps and one book leads to another, and I finally end up with the book that the universe chooses for me. So I'm going to go through the steps and the books with you. And the first step is to choose one of your favorite books. So I chose The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. The second step is to find a book that has the same first or last name with the book you just chose. So the book I chose is Little Monsters by Kara Thomas. Step number 3 is to go to page 74 and go to line 3. You're going to pick 2 words and you have to find those words within the title of the next book. And the 2 words I chose were That and Girl. So I chose Who's That Girl by Blair Thornburg. The 4th step is to find a book that has a similar context. So I read quickly the synopsis of this book and I gathered that there was crush involved, old friend. And so the next book I picked was Odd One Out by Nick Stone. Then the fifth step is to find a diverse book that has a similar title. So I decided to go with similar title as in same number of words in the title. So the diverse book that I chose is Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Rowanhorse. The sixth step is to take one of the main characters' names from that book and then find a book with that name in the title. So from Trail of Lightning, I chose Maggie, and then I could not find a book that had a title with the name Maggie in it. There probably is one, I just couldn't think of one or find one, and you could only be in the library a limited amount of time. So I decided instead to go with an author that has the name Maggie. So I chose Maggie Stiefvater. So I went to where her books are in the section and I just randomly grabbed one, and that happened to be The Raven King. And step number 7, which will lead you to your final book, is to flip to a random page in the book that you're holding and then point to a random word, and that word now has to be in the book that the universe has chose to put on your TBR. And the word that I pointed to is something. So the book that the universe chose for me is There's Something About Sweetie by Sandhya Menon. This is a companion novel to When Dimple Met Rishi, and this features Sweetie, who is a fantastic track star, and she also happens to be fat. Her mom doesn't approve of her size, and she's tired of being told that she's lacking because she's fat, and decides to start the Sassy Sweetie project. We also have Ashish, who is the younger brother of Rishi. His girlfriend just dumped him, and he's heartbroken, and his mojo is gone. Their stories intertwine. I'm excited to see where this goes for a summer romance. This is definitely a 5-star prediction for me, so I'm hoping that I like it a lot. And that's The Universe Chooses My TBR. Roll number 11. 3, 5. 3, 5. And that is Rep. So roll number 11 landed us on representation. So for this, I'm going to be reading El Defo. So it's about a little girl who is deaf, and she's going from a deaf school to a hearing school. At first she feels like she's not making any friends, and then she starts to see that her deafness might just be a superpower. I'm very excited to be reading this. I love deaf culture, and I've been looking forward to reading this for a while, and so happy that I can now read it. So this is definitely a highly anticipated read for me, and I cannot wait to pick it up. And our final roll number 12. 4, 3. 4, 3. And that is Flip a Coin. And last but certainly not least, we have roll 12 that landed us on Flip a Coin. For Flip a Coin, I'm going to be choosing 2 books that I want to read and then flipping a coin to decide which of these 2 I will be reading. But I cannot flip a coin, so I will be using a random coin generator on my computer. So the 2 books I'm choosing between are The Loose Ends List by Carrie Firestone. So this book is about Maddie, and she learns that her grandma is dying, and her grandma decides that she wants to take the entire family on a cruise. It's called the Cruise of Dreams, and she wants to have a last big hurrah and has decided that she will not be returning from this cruise. And I believe she's trying to tie up some loose ends by the end of this cruise. This sounds really intriguing, and I bet it will be a tearjerker, but also really heartfelt, and so I want to see what this is about. So this is my first pick. The second pick is going to be The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. I don't really know too much about this. I know that she's a dog walker, and this book just screams summer, so I've been wanting to read it for a while, and I just haven't picked it up, so I figured why not give it a chance and flip a coin. Alright, so let's go to the flip a coin generator. If it's heads, I'm gonna read The Unexpected Everything, and if it's tails, I'm gonna read The Loose Ends List. Alright, here we go. Let's flip it. Alright, so we got tails, so I'm going to be reading The Loose Ends List by Carrie Firestone. So I'm very glad that I will be reading a book from my TBR cart, and hopefully I really like this. So those are all the books that I'm planning to read for my summer TBR. I'd love to know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them, as well as any books that you're planning to read or are looking forward to coming out this summer. Also, let me know if you're participating in Whatever-a-thon, because I'd love to know. So let me know down in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to share the love. I'll see you next time. Bye!